So
Yep.
first things first, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Paul Barchilon. I'm the vice president of the American Go Foundation. We're a nonprofit and we exist to help spread Go among kids and, just in general in the US. And we also do some support for Canada and Mexico as well.
Awesome, awesome. Before we dive into the questions, did you want to go over the links you sent me first, or do you want to just dive right in?
Yeah. Yeah. As I'm talking about different things, so first off, like the first thing we'll do is probably just the general youth room link,
Okay.
which I think is the last one I sent. Because we're going to do free registration for all youth, and you don't have to do anything to get that. So, we can sort of talk about that. And then you can get an additional $200 per kid by playing in either the Redmond or the Girls Cup or the National Q Championship. And those have registration deadlines, which are coming up. Oh, actually, I need to. Yeah, the information is on those links. Yeah, so I'll want to mention those dates that they need to register by. The Q Championship is February 16th. So I can talk about that stuff, but so those links would be good when we talk about those events. So I think first, just I could talk a little bit about the youth room. You could put that link up on the screen for people to click on, and then I can talk about the special events and that you need to register for them, etc.
Mhm.
And then whatever else you have in mind.
Let's go ahead and start with our first couple questions here because it kind of gives an idea of like who you are and what you do.
Okay.
Can you tell us a bit about your role as the youth coordinator for Go Congress?
So for a number of years, I've been running the youth room, and so we usually get around 100 kids at Congress. And a while ago, we set up, that we would have a special room for them that we could have, fun youth events in. So that runs every afternoon from 1:30 to 5:30. And the games in the youth room, most of them are just more fun and less pressure because everybody has a serious match in the morning. And it's a chance for kids to meet each other, make new friends, play in different events. We have like a team event, just like in Hikaru no Go. We have pair go events. We have 9x9 and 13x13 events that are just fun, and I give away a ton of prizes. And it's all table prizes. So if you have like six kids playing at a table, you know, um, one kid at that table is going to win a prize. So if you have 10 tables, you're going to be giving away 10 sets of prizes. So it's just a lot
Mhm.
of fun for everybody.
Right. What inspired you to take on this position, and how did you get involved with Go Congress?
Initially, I was invited to the Go Congress to be Teacher of the Year in 2006, and I'd never been to Congress before. And I had a great time that year and just thought it was amazing. And the youth room director, Todd Heidenreich, at that time had been doing it for, I think, 7 years or something, and he was ready to stop doing it. And he asked if I would be interested in doing it and mentioned that it would be a free trip to Congress. And I was like, aha. So then, so I was like, yeah, I want a free trip to Congress. And then it's kind of grown. I mean, initially there were not so many kids coming to Congress, but it's been a really successful program. And now kids are about a quarter of the attendees at Congress. So it's pretty cool. We have a whole thing going on. So it's great.
Cool. What is your primary responsibilities leading up to and during the event? Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
So we coordinate a lot of different events that there's qualifiers for, like the Redmond Cup and the Girls Cup, and the Q Championship, and the prizes for those also include. Well, if you make it as a finalist, you get a free trip to
Mhm.
Congress. And Justin Tang runs those events, but I help coordinate them with him. And so we organize all the scholarships and stuff, and we, do all the planning for the youth room, getting prizes, making sure the room is big enough, organizing and promotion, that sort of stuff. And then, all the work, at Congress is the main part of it. But there's a fair amount before as well.
Gotcha. We've kind of touched on these questions, so we can probably just skip right through these pretty quickly. But what is the current state of the youth participation, and how does Go Congress cater to younger players compared to adults?
So I'd like to think that Go Congress does a good job of both of those
Mhm.
things, but we've made a real effort to make it better for kids, and I think
Mhm.
that's been pretty successful. from having prizes and
Mm,
fun events, and just creating a forum where kids can meet each other. I mean, I think for everybody who comes to Go Congress, you may be coming from a community where it's like, barely anybody who plays Go, or just a few guys at your club or something, and then you come to Go Congress and there's like 500 Go players there, and you're like, whoa, it's like, you're in
mm.
paradise. And so
Yeah,
I think that's a really exciting experience for both kids and adults. And for kids in particular, it's great to just have an informal place where you can, hang out with your friends, and do fun games and not have so much pressure.
that's great. Can you elaborate on the tournaments for youth?
So I do a different tournament every day, and like we'll start out with like lightning go, for example. So it's 10 minutes sudden death, which is no problem for kids because kids are used to playing fast. And again in that, you get a room full of kids playing lightning go, but they're all at tables, so everybody at the table is going to win a prize.
Mhm.
So we give out a bunch of cool stuff, and kids like that. And then the next day we'll do 9 by 9 tournament, and then 13 by 13 after that. So small board fun, low pressure. Again, prizes for everybody in both events. We do youth adult pair go, which is a really that's turned into a pretty major event. So any youth can play with any adult, and we get a lot of people doing that. It's like often like 80 people competing in it, and it's kind of a good warm up for the main pair go event at Congress, because a lot of times pairs will compete in the youth adult pair go for the first time, and then so they've had a little bit of a warm up, and then they compete in the main thing. And at stake there is a trip to Japan to represent the U.S. and the World Amateur Go, or Japanese Pair Go Association. So that's a really cool event. And then we have more casual things on Thursday, and on Friday we have the youth team tournament, which is always one of my favorites. Teams of 3 kids against teams of 3 other kids, and it's modeled on Hikaru no Go,
Mhm.
and it's so if any 2 players win, then your team wins, and so that's a lot of fun. And
Are all of
and then
these played on the 19 by 19?
all except for the 9 by 9 and 13 by 13 tournaments.
Okay, but yeah, so all of the like the 10 minutes absolute stuff is all 19 by
Mhm.
19?
Yeah.
Oh man, that must be chaos finishing 19 by 19 in 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Like
I
I
was
said, it's
thinking
easy.
maybe
Yeah.
13 by 13, 10 minutes, easy peasy, but 19 by 19,
Yeah.
sudden death, that sounds like pretty challenging.
Yeah. For
Um,
adult, for
for an
kids, it's no
adult,
problem.
yeah.
Getting kids to
um,
slow down is usually the problem.
I remember last year, no, the year before last, I don't think it went last year. The year before last, there was the track down an older person to play.
Yes, the bound prizes. Yeah. And we're doing that, and we've increased the prizes. That was sponsored by this very kind gentleman, Leonard Baum, who passed away, but he left a little bit of an endowment for us. And we use it to get young kids to play older people. There has to be a 40-year age difference between the players, and the kid has to be under 16. And then there's
Hmm.
just a ton of prizes, like the kid who plays the most adults, the kid who beats the most adults, the kid who loses to the most adults. And the prizes are like $50, plus you get this nice shiny medal. And then last year, I think we started doing $5 per game. So even if you don't win one of the categories, if you play, 12 adults in the course of the Congress and submit it to the bound prizes, we give you $50. So clearly we're just paying you to play adults. But what's great about it is, everybody has a lot of fun. I mean, the adults love playing with the kids. The kids get really competitive about it. And it's kind of like, playing with your grandpa or something. So I think it's a really fun event, and that's grown quite big too. We had a lot of kids participating in that last year, and it's just a nice way to cross the generations there.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool. I had a couple old people telling me about how it was a lot of fun for random kids to come up like ask them for a game.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any trends in how the younger players are approaching learning Go compared to the older players?
The younger kids are really up on whatever's going on. They're all training with AI. They're most of them, not most of them, but a lot of them are training with professionals, and so they're kind of really, they have their finger on the pulse of whatever's going on. Like when you
Mhm.
play adults, a lot of them aren't necessarily going to know a lot of the newer Josekis, the kids are always, on top of that. And we also get a lot of there's a lot of really strong kids who come from China and will play in the room. So you get, you know, really high octane, players in there, and then that rubs off on the other kids, and they're teaching new Josekis that like we don't even know now. It's like said they
Mm,
just figured this out while they're studying to be a pro in China, and that they'll come share it in the youth room, and so it's an exciting environment for kids that way
that's
too.
cool. Is there any language barrier?
A lot of the American kids who come are Chinese American, and a lot of them speak Chinese relatively well. And then there's a lot of kids who are not Chinese who obviously don't speak Chinese, but usually people are happy to translate. And then everybody speaks English, but some people to greater or lesser extent. So.
Gotcha. This is a nice question. What are your thoughts on a relatively high bar players have to clear to or teachers have to clear to get people to play the game compared to say chess, which may make it harder to spread.
So I actually think it's a lot easier to teach than chess because the pieces all do the same thing, and the game mechanics are much simpler.
Hmm.
And especially if you're teaching a 9 by 9. So I mean, I can teach a 4-year-old to play Go.
Hmm.
It's kind of hard to teach them to play chess. So so that's a really good thing. But for some reason, I think it's just cultural. Like in Western culture, we have this context of chess as the preeminent mind sport game, and in Asian culture, they all think of Go that way. So it's just a little bit of a challenge to get people to understand this game because it's so different. It's definitely helped with the whole AI revolution that's happened and DeepMind, and different movies and TV shows that have Go in them definitely helped to spread it. So we do our best to try and spread it, but we're still nowhere near as popular as chess.
Okay. Um, are there any opportunities for the youth players to interact with professional players or top level teachers during the events?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have pros in the youth room almost every day. There's a couple days I don't have them in because the events are so popular that nobody wanted to play the pro because they want to play in the youth adult pair go or the team tournament. But other than those two events, there are two professionals in the youth room every day, and they usually do simul's because that's what kids want. But I also have it available that if you've got your game record and you want a pro to review it, that is available to happen. So we've got dedicated pros in the youth room, and then there's also pros in the main area. What often happens a lot is kids come and then they don't realize there's pros in the youth room, so they sign up for the pro simul's in the main room, and then sometimes adults don't get those slots because the kids are all signing up for them, and the same pro will be coming to the youth room to do a session, later or the next day or something, but so kids should primarily sign up for simul's in the youth room, but if there's a pro that that they particularly want who's not teaching in the youth room, then absolutely they should go and do that. But they shouldn't think
Mhm.
that they're not going to have access to pros in the youth room because actually we have much more access per capita than the adults do in the main area.
Cool. What do you think is the importance of events like Go Congress and building the Go community, specifically among the youth?
I just don't think there's anything like it. I think it's the most important thing that the AGA does. We used to do a Go Camp, and that was also like a really good thing for kids. And now
Mm.
I feel like Go Congress has become like the Go Camp. So when kids come and meet other kids and meet stronger kids, and it's like it forms a whole community. And I've seen, several waves of kids. I've been doing this for gosh, a long time. Well, since 2006, I've seen several waves of young kids, grow up and pass through, and they all, remain friends, and they come to Congress as adults now, and some of them, become organizers. Like I met Justin Tang when he was 11. He played in one of our events, and then he came to Go Congress in DC was the first one that he came to, and now he's, you know, does all of this stuff for the AJ, vice president of and does the youth coordination with me as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's cool. So you mentioned the Go Camp. Uh, that doesn't still happen, right? That still doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't. We had a good run for a number of years, and then it got increasingly harder to get organizers who are willing to do it, and we didn't have as many kids doing it. And we would still fund it, like it's in our budget. We would
Mhm.
gladly fund a Go Camp, and we kind of try to get one going each year, and there's maybe one that's going to happen next year. Possibly with Myungwon Kim out in Hawaii. So we're always trying to get one going. But we sort of had a golden era where there were about 15 or 20 kids coming. To Go Camp for I think maybe 5 to 10 years, but then it just kind of dropped off. And I think in a lot of ways the Congress kind of replaced it. But we would definitely support both events if there were kids who
Mhm.
wanted to do it.
Gotcha. Have you witnessed any memorable significance? Have you witnessed any significant moments or success stories from the youth participants at Go Congress?
Yeah, lots. I mean, just from watching kids play one color go, which is always kind of amazing. To watching kids who are competing in some of the more serious events like the Redmond Cup or whatever, and then also just playing and having fun with each other, or like a kid will lose the Redmond, but then he and his opponent will join the same team for the youth team tournament, for example.
Mhm.
So there's kind of a nice there's a nice thing there that the kids really get a connection with each other, and I definitely feel like it really helps them to grow. I've seen weaker kids come in, make friends with really strong kids, and the really strong kids be very generous about sharing, their knowledge, teaching them stuff, and often that relationship will continue online after Congress is over.
Yeah, thinking back on it, I remember going to Go Camp once as the youth at 17, and then friends that I made there I'm still friends with now. I still see
Cool.
a Go Congress.
Yeah.
Um, how do you see the next generation of the youth in the recent years in the youth? How do you see the kids growing up and shaping the future of the community?
I think the more kids we get, the bigger influence it has. And one thing that I'd like to see more of is it spreading wider than the Chinese American community, because we have a
Hmm.
really strong group, in the Chinese American community who comes. That's like our core of people who come, and then there's probably about 20% of just regular American kids who are, learning Go. And I'd really like to see that spread because, Go should
Hmm.
be in all of our communities, not just the Chinese American one. So my hope is that that will move in that direction, and it will spread bigger.
Okay. Are there any new initiative or ideas for the youth programs at future Go Congresses that is being discussed or going to happen?
Nothing new. No. Oh, well, actually, I should clarify that the Girls Cup we just expanded to make that the same as the Redmond Cup, so that we're going to bring four finalists to Congress instead of two. So we'll have two bands under 13
Mm.
and then 13 to 17, and each band will have two finalists who will come and compete. The Redmond and the Girls Cup, both those are qualifying events. You qualify online, and you compete usually 6 or 7 matches online, and then the finalists from that get a free trip to Congress, which alone is a great prize. And then they'll compete face to face, best 2 out of 3 matches, and then the winner also gets a nice. Well, actually, both winner and loser in the finals get nice trophies and cash prizes.
Cool. Um, how can the community, like the online community or the widespread community, how can the community in Go support your efforts and the AGF's efforts to help support the youth growth in Go?
The best thing you can do is donate to the American Go Foundation. We are funded entirely by donations, and everything we pay for comes from that. And we're not a huge organization, but the our our average donation is probably like, 25 bucks or something, but a lot of Go players give us that. And then we have a few Go Angels who, give us, a larger sum, which is always very appreciated. We did get some money from Google when they had the DeepMind grant. They gave some of the funding from that to us when they won with the AI competition. But mainly it's just individuals donating. So if you want to donate to us, please go to our website. It's agfgo.org. And there's a donate button right up at the top. And you can contribute whatever you like, and it all goes to fund kids. And also, our primary activity, aside from the Go Congress, is actually sending free equipment to schools. So any school that wants to run a Go program will send them a classroom starter set, which is enough for 24 kids to play Go. We're also making a Kids Go website where kids can learn Go and that classes could go through and have animated lessons that are teaching them how to play, and a server that they can play against as well. So, we have a lot of projects around that are trying to spread Go, and we appreciate whatever support the community can give us because that's makes everything we do possible.
Okay, some more questions from the viewers. Any potential collaborations with the overseas Go associations?
We do a lot with the Overseas Go associations, from interacting a little bit before and after, as well as during, and coordinating the pros with them. And they know that we've got pros in the youth room, and so that's always a priority. The Parago people send us prizes, to do for those events. And sometimes, like, the Korean Baduk Association will often send like a box of prizes that are, um, books or Go sets or other things like that are, specifically for the kids in the youth room.
Will there be a potential for the U.S. to host a world championship title worthy of competition, like in Singapore hosting the Nanyang Cup?
That I do not know about. Sorry.
No worries. That might be more of an AGA question than an
Yeah, I think
AGF.
that's more of an AGA question.
Okay, no worries. What has been the most rewarding part of your work as the youth coordinator?
It's seeing the kids grow up and still play and, become strong or not become strong, but still just be in the Go. And seeing them years later or having kids tell me that they, remember the youth room or that it had a big impact on them. And then, I think when I see some of those kids grow up and become organizers, there's such a small group of us who are willing to volunteer to organize and to help spread Go in the AGA and in the AGF. And so, knowing that like kids that I taught or that I helped foster or that I provided resources for are now volunteering and doing stuff with the AGA, that's to me extremely gratifying that, I feel like, okay, this passion has been spread, and somebody else wants to do this. So
Awesome. What do you think attracts kids to Go other than learning about it from a relative?
I think once they see it, they're interested in it. So it's like getting them to see it, and it's a crowded field to get a kid's attention, because there's video games that are so dynamic and stuff, and there's all sorts of high tech stuff. But I think if you actually see people playing Go somewhere, you're immediately wondering like, what is going on with that? That's a really strange looking game. It looks very different from chess. We're playing on the lines. What's going on there? So I think kids are naturally curious when they see it. The problem is that they don't get as many opportunities to see it.
Hmm.
And online, I think it's hard for Go to compete with video games that have such sophisticated graphics. So I think it's great, streaming and stuff on Twitch. I think that really helps because I think when people get a context to understand what's going on with this game, I think that makes them more interested in it. So streamers like you are providing a really valuable service and helping to spread that to a larger audience. And I know a lot of kids are, coming across Go that way as well.
Yeah. What advice would you give to young players or their parents who are considering attending the Go Congress?
I would say come. It is tremendous fun. You might be worried about it or apprehensive or concerned that you're not strong enough. Don't worry about that. The Congress has bans all the way down to 30Q. You can be a very weak player and still come and play and still win a prize in your division. Everything is set up that way. Same in the youth room. It doesn't. You don't have to be strong to win things. The strong players will win stuff. The weaker players will win stuff. I think what it takes is, you just have to have, you have to be interested enough in Go to want to play, for several hours a day, for a week. And if you meet that criteria, you should definitely come. If you're a parent considering whether or not this is a good environment for your kid, I think intellectually, it's really helps a child to grow, to be exposed to this kind of stuff. And, the Go is just sort of it makes you smarter and it improves your functioning and your reasoning intellectually across the board. So kids who are good at Go are usually very good academically and at the top of their class, and they can apply those skills that they learn from Go to other areas of life. So I think it's well worth doing. If you're a parent but you don't want to take the time or you don't have the time to bring your kid, but your kid really wants to go, you can send your child with, like a guardian who's over 18. So if there's somebody at the Go Club who's willing to supervise your child while they're at club, you can send them that way. We've got forms to allow them to do that. And while they're in the youth room, you'll have direct supervision from me and the assistant youth room coordinator, and a lot of other parents there too. We also have a lot of kids who, like, their parents can't go, but their friends' parents are going to go. So you get 4 or 5 kids that are coming, and there's just, one set of parents that belong to one of the kids, but their friends came too. So there's a lot of ways to work that out. And enable your kid to have this experience even if you're not able to come as a parent.
Awesome. So we've gotten through pretty much all the questions. Do you want to go ahead and jump right into the links that you shared?
Yeah. So let's talk about the Q Championship first.
Okay.
This event is open to Q players, obviously, and under 18. And again, all the way down. You don't have to be a certain rank to qualify. I get kids coming in who are 25Q, whatever. You do need to be able to play online. These events are held on KGS. The Q Championship is a 1 day event, and you play, all 4 rounds, and they're fairly fast games. Sorry, I think it's a 2 day event. Yeah, we broke it into 2 days. But it's a great fun to play in, and again, you'll meet other kids, and just by playing in that, you can qualify for an extra $200 off Go Congress. So whether or not you're planning on coming to Congress, it's a good idea to register and play in the event, because if later it turns out you are able to come to Congress, you're going to get an extra $200 off, which would be great. So the Q Championship, the registration deadline is February 16th. So you need to register by then, and then the event will be held, I think it's on Saturday, February 22nd. Oh, and it is 4 rounds in 1 day. Yeah, 4 rounds in 1 day. So put that on your calendar, and you can register and read more about it at the link that hopefully Sean is sharing on the screen. So the corollary for that, for stronger players, would be for the Redmond Cup and the Girls Cup. And again, in those, we've got under 13 and 13 to 17. And as I mentioned before, the finalists get a free trip to Congress. But even just for playing in the event, you also get $200 off on your Congress registration. So it's another terrific event to play in. You can get a lot stronger. The Girls Cup now, you can also play as a Q player in the Girls Cup, and we've got a new band for that. So in the younger band, you can join. So the Redmond, you need to register for that by, let me check that date. Okay, registration will close on February 28th, and competition starts on March 3rd. The Redmond and the Girls Cup both. There's You have 2 weeks to arrange a match with your opponent, and we'll tell you who your opponent's going to be. And that'll be, it varies 6 to 7 to 8 rounds. Sometimes if we have a tie, we need to do a little playoff online to figure out who are the finalists that are going to go. But 2 kids in the senior and 2 kids in the junior for both of these events will win a totally free trip to Congress, and compete face to face. And usually, We'll broadcast those games at Congress, and often we get a pro to comment on them as well. So that's another really fun event.
Awesome.
So, okay, so that's the Redmond and the Girls Cup. So sign up for both of those. And then just the main Congress youth room link, which, gives you a little more information about the program, shows you the schedule, etc. So that's a good sort of overall resource to look at, or that you can show to your parents, and, get them interested in Go Congress as well.
Cool. Is there anything you want to point out on the schedule that might be of interest? I see
I think
pizza. Pizza is interesting to me.
all interesting. Yeah, we have a pizza and welcome party on the first Saturday, and then a farewell party on the last Saturday. So yeah, and then just different events. Lightning Go on Sunday. Monday is 9 by 9 and 13 by 13. Tuesday is Youth Adult Pair Go. So it's good to meet some adults, or maybe you're coming with a parent who plays Go and you want to play with them. But you should plan on who you want to have be your partner in that event. Wednesday's the day off. Thursday we do like a 13 by 13 team thing that's kind of fun, and then Friday is the main team tournament. So, and then there's pros every day, or Sunday, Monday, Thursday at least, and
Cool.
Saturday too.
So it looks like there's two schedules. The top one is the event, and the bottom one is the pros.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, I was just trying to sort what the two. That there was two schedules here that I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. And at Congress, usually if we have it by the time, it will certainly be in the YAP. You can see which
Mm-hmm.
pro is going to be in the youth room. And if we have it in time to get it in the guidebook, we'll do that in advance. And if not, it'll be posted on the bulletin board, and in the app, that you can see who's teaching when.
Cool. Okay, and then you shared a couple pictures that I'm showing off.
Yeah,
Um,
just fun stuff. Kids having fun at Go Congress.
yeah, I love analyzing some of the board positions. Some of them look quite interesting. Some of them look really strong, and then you'll see some weird shapes in some of them. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, we have some, like one of these, like I think those are like 6 and 7 Dons that are playing. So
yeah, it's
that's
amazing
the fun thing about.
the
Yeah,
drastic difference that you can have in youth from
yeah, exactly.
complete beginner random stones to stronger than most of the adults.
Yeah, yeah, and even like like the 9 by 9 event, you might think like that's not a big deal, and it's not. It's fun, right? But I've had 9 by 9 tables that are entirely 6 and 7 Don kids, just fighting like hell for that, for whatever the prize is. It's pretty great.
Would you say that small boards are more interesting to some kids than the bigger boards?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I mean, small board is kind of fun. It's just so compressed on 9 by 9. 13
Hmm.
by 13, you can kind of get the mechanics of Go, but I feel like Go doesn't really come into its own until you're on the full board, and I think most kids feel that way.
Are there kids that have trouble with patience trying to complete the whole 1919 game?
Not at Go Congress, no. I mean, like I said, if you're going to come to Congress, you need to be pretty into it. So,
Hmm.
the ones who come are into it. Occasionally, we get younger kids who are like a sibling, and
Hmm.
they may not have as much patience. But we don't have any pressure, and we try to make things as fun as
Hmm.
possible for kids. And we'll often do friendly or fun events. And I've had like 5 or 6 year olds that their older sibling is there and playing seriously, and they're feeling left out, and we'll get them a game with another young kid, or myself or the other youth room coordinator will play a fun game with them, or we'll do something fun like put Go problems on a board, and then they have to solve it. And if they solve it, they get a prize, kind of thing. So there can be little mini things like that. And obviously, we do pretty easy problems for young kids.
Nice.
One of my rules is nobody should go home crying. So
Yeah. A couple more questions from chat. Do you think there are specific challenges associated with ensuring girls feel comfortable at youth go events? Um, because in the chess world there have been reports of harassment and such in some events.
I have not seen a lot of that in the youth room. The girls are, first off, there's a fair amount of them, and they seem pretty well supported. And I think, particularly among kids, the girls often tend to mature faster. So they're,
Hmm.
they're sort of emotionally like a little ahead of the boys sometimes. And so I think they sort of hold the upper hand in some of those terms, and like I said, because we've got a fair amount of them, it's usually not an issue. I certainly have not noticed any overt harassment, in terms of that. And we certainly have, we're looking out for the kids. And if there's ever an issue that comes up or somebody does say something or do something, we certainly, get right on it.
Are there any additional efforts to improve access to game records? Because even the Chinese game records are hard to find nowadays.
I'm not aware of any. There probably are, some resources like that. That might be a good AGA question. Or, it's certainly a question that if you come to Congress, you could ask a strong Chinese kid, hey, where can I get some? And they can help you find them.
What about the game records to the kids' games specifically, or like the Redmond Cups or the Girls Cup? Are those
Um,
recorded?
so the Redmond Cup games we usually broadcast, not all of them. So those ones you can. I don't know that there's access to those after the fact, other than looking at the stream. And then for a while, Congress was uploading game records for games. I'm not sure if they're still doing that. The games in the youth room tend to be more informal.
Hmm.
And, obviously the Redmen and the Girls Cup are not, like I said, those are recorded. But we don't have anywhere where they're just like available.
Gotcha. That might be something for the future, so that way people can see like or do like overviews of here's this person and that person. What about like player bios? Is that a thing?
We usually will do a little bit of a bio for the kids in the e-journal before the event,
Hmm.
so that people know who the finalists are, and tell something about them and their go career.
Gotcha. Maybe that's something we should do is on the website or something. But like, here's the Redmond Cup. Here's previous events. Here's the game records. So
Uh-huh.
player bios. That might be fun to do. I haven't
Yeah.
thought about that in the past.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, and we could probably coordinate and get some game records from some of the kids and do some bios or something once we know who the finalists are. That might be a fun event to put together later.
Nice. That'd be cool if a chat question ends up affecting the website in the future.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up with some final thoughts. Do you have any final thoughts or final comments that you would like to get out
Just
there?
that I want to encourage everybody to come. It's great fun. If you haven't been before, you might be like, "Oh, it's expensive. I don't want to come." If you're under 18, it's free. The AGF is paying the youth fees. So there's no registration fee for under 18, and then you still have to pay for housing and food and stuff. But again, if you play in one of these events, we'll give you $200 to use towards that. So that definitely helps. Also, if you're a college student, we can give you a $300 scholarship also to make your registration free, and you can apply for that through the Congress website. So we've got a lot of resources to try to get as many people to come as possible, and it's an amazing experience. I think anybody who comes really enjoys it and wants to do it again. So it's a great way to spread go because you're surrounded by people who are share the same passion, and that's a really powerful thing for a kid to see that.
Oh, I want to touch on something you mentioned. You mentioned that you work with college students, which are not necessarily youth. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so that's a scholarship program we've had for a few years, and it's just uh, it's to help people in that age group come to Congress as well, and also, if you're in college, you tend not to have so much money, so we created a scholarship for that as well, and that's $300, and all you have to do is apply for that and indicate that you're in college, show us some evidence that you're in college, student ID, whatever, and you'll get free registration. So that's a good feature too.
Awesome. Uh, for those that are watching this video in the future and they want to learn more about stuff, who can they contact or where can they go to contact someone to get more information?
You can email me or Justin at our main AGA address, which is youth@usgo.org. And that goes to both of us. So, one of us will respond if we see something come in that. So if you've got a general question, that's a perfectly good one to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out and responding so quickly and hopping on for an interview. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for doing this, Sean. Really appreciate it. It's great to, spread the message by all the means possible, and certainly streaming is a great one. So I appreciate streamers like you
Yeah.
helping us out.
I'm very happy that I can't take all the credit. I have been having people at the AGA reach out to me to help also set up this stuff. So I'm very excited to be working with them a lot more this year. I'm very happy that they're reaching out to us streamers to help get us involved as well. So
Awesome.
yeah, I'm happy to be doing all this kind of stuff. It's quite a lot of fun, I think.
Terrific. Great. And I assume we'll get to see you at Congress then, right?
Yes, my wife and I are both planning to come this year for sure.
Excellent. Well, I'll look forward to seeing you both.
All right. With that, have a good one. Thank you for stopping by.
Okay. Thanks so much, Sean.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.